Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, this is a pretty insane one, okay? Now, I've covered a lot of different gaming hacks and leaks and whatnot here on the channel. I remember back when, like, Rockstar got hit, and we got all kinds of different information. We got, like, actual in-game looks at GTA 6 work in progress, right? Like, it seems like as time is going on in the industry, more and more of these companies are subject to these, like, massive hacks and gaming leaks, where just some random dude in their bedroom or whatever, you know, it's just like, you know what, fuck it, today I'm gonna hit Nintendo and I'm gonna troll them, right? So a massive leak just came out called the Giga Leak. On Twitter is where I've been seeing most of this, but I'm sure it's also pretty much permeating other websites too. But this is a massive gaming leak that targets the company Game Freak, okay? Now, if you don't know who Game Freak is, they are the part owners and creators and whatnot of the Pokémon franchise. So when you think of like any of the Pokémon video games, you're pretty much thinking Game Freak. Those are the people behind it, right? So obviously with this massive leak of Game Freak's internal documents and information and whatnot, we were bound to get some pretty crazy information and reveals for the Pokemon universe. And we did. I mean, we really did. For instance, I saw like one diagram going around that like basically explained the entire like conception of the Pokemon universe on some like Big Bang Theory type shit or like some biblical shit, right? Where it's like breaking down in detail how like the whole world came to be and Pokemon is created and whatnot. But with all of these leaks, there also came some pretty confusing, I think is really the only real word I can use to describe it at this moment. Information, okay? Now, when you think of Pokemon, you probably think of like children, you know, because it's like, oh, that's who the target audience is, right? I remember playing Pokemon all the time on my Game Boy when I was a kid, right? So you're probably thinking like, okay, this is the target audience. Maybe we would probably be seeing some more child-friendly leaks, but I really don't think that's the case with some of these, okay? Now, some of these Pokemon leaks are just outright disturbing. There's no other way to put them. I mean, it's just some shit that you would have never have anticipated being part of the actual written mythology and canon of the history of Pokemon. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of these leaks, okay? Because they provide, I guess, some important context and backstory to Pokemon, but I'm gonna be real, before we really get into it, I'm gonna just say, like, I think that somebody at Game Freak is just on some fucking insane, freaky, weirdo type of shit because, I mean, some of this shit is just insane, you know what I mean? Especially for, like I said, a franchise that's, like, mostly aimed at kids. It's like, I don't know, what the fuck are you guys on here? But, so this one is surrounding the original sin based on the current Pokemon world, and it says, in the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day they were bored, so they catch Slackoth living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slackoth, sometimes killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes, or cutting off their fucking ears. By the way, I'm not making this up. I didn't write this in Notepad. This is shit that really got leaked, so keep that in mind. One day, the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw a Slackoth hanging from a tree. She climbed the tree to catch it but slipped and injured herself. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. This Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee, but her injured leg hurt too much and she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her when it saw her. She lost consciousness. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her lay a clear lake surrounded by trees from which many Slackoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed some of the Slackoth hanging from the trees were corpses. They were the very Slackoth that the woman and her friends had killed and discarded. The Slackoth were throwing these corpses into the lake. Terrified, the woman tried to run away, but a Slaking appeared. This Slaking also had a torn ear. The woman realized it was the same Vigoroth she'd seen earlier, and fear overwhelmed her, causing her to faint again. When she regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her house. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child, it was a Slackoth. She intended to abandon it but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slackoth. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slackoth sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slackoth, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slackoth, The woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slackoth's body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends, shocked, chased after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up and they found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake were many Slackoth and Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake and holding the lifeless body of the Slackoth, she threw herself in the water. Afterward, the woman's friends began to treat Slackoth as companions, just as she had in her final moments. So, alright man, that's a lot of fucking word salad to go through there, but if you were going ahead and you were keeping up, I guess, with the themes of this story, you're gonna realize some pretty fucking insane things have been happening in the Pokemon universe. So number one, apparently the people in Pokemon have just decided, I don't know, fuck it, these Pokemon-esque animals and whatnot running around in the woods, we should be killing them, torturing them, playing war crime games with their fucking corpses, carving wounds into them for enjoyment. I mean, like, just some real serial killer type shit here, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get this at all. I mean, when have we seen this in any of the Pokemon shows, right? Like, which fucking Pokemon game for the Game Boy Advance did this shit take place in again here, right? So, not only was she, like, torturing fucking Pokemon and animals out in the wild for fun, she was then overpowered by a group of Slackoth and Vigoroth, was presumably sexually assaulted while she was unconscious by the Pokemon, impregnated by the fucking Pokemon, and then carried its child to term, and had a half-human, half-Pokemon or a full Pokemon hybrid baby, in which I guess her friends decided was also fair game, and they decided to fucking mutilate and, like, decapitate her fucking baby and bring it to her crib. Like, hey, by the way, here's your baby. We cut its fucking head and shit. Like, I'm just confused on what exactly has to go through your mind, right? Where you're like, man, these Pokemon games are fire. We're really killing it with this Pikachu shit, man. Now let's make the Pokemon rape the unconscious woman. You know, like, what the fuck? Like, when I tell you I had to do like a fucking 700 time double take when I first saw this shit spreading around on social media, I mean, this is just beyond like an origin story, right? Most of the time, you know, when you're thinking of like, oh, how did humans and Pokemon get to, you know, start being companions or whatever, right? You're not thinking, yeah, well, this one woman was like mutilating them in the forest until they all gang assaulted her and impregnated her. And then, you know, some other humans killed her child, right? Like, what the fuck is going on here, bro? And if you think like, oh, that's it, you know, that's the only leak like this, oh, bro, you would be fucking very stunned if you kept reading. So keep in mind, you know, there were some, I would say, normal things that were also leaked in like this whole thing, but I mean, this shit here is just so like far out there, just so out of left field. It almost, in a way, over-proceeded or, like, overtook all the, like, normal shit. Like I said, there was a whole, like, Pokemon universe origin diagram that explained, like, how all the legendary Pokemon, like, interact with one another to create the fucking history and everything, right? Almost all of that was just, like, immediately overshadowed when people dug deeper into the files and were like, oh, wow, this is what's been going on? And, you know, you might be sitting there thinking, like, oh, but Optimus, who are you to fucking question the people writing Pokemon? Why do you care? You know, it's not your franchise, dum-dum. And like, yeah, I'm not the one writing it, so I guess in a way, like the people who actually have, I guess, like something fucking on the table for this franchise and it's like their thing, yeah, they get to write it, but like as a fan, you know, I'm sitting here just stunned. Like, I'm just sitting here fucking looking at this like, how did we get here? Where did this all come from? You know, because you gotta think, like, when it comes to this lore and shit, it's all gotta like intertwine and like tangle in with all the other fucking lore for all the other Pokemon and all the other stuff going on in this universe, right? So like, you know, everything else was already fleshed out, and I'm assuming like, I don't know, some game freak quite literally decided to pop out at the house or whatever and type this shit up over a weekend, and I'm just thinking like, I don't know, I've never once thought that this was some shit that we'd be seeing leak out of Pokemon. So there was a time where the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day as he was walking along the shore, he found a female octillery washed up on the beach. The man had relations with the octillery and then threw it back into the sea. The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. One night after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It is our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he'd met the octillery. There he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. And then it goes on to describe how he basically walked over to a beach. He saw some Sharpedos playing on the beach. They accidentally left a sword or something behind that was super sharp when he scared them off. And so he just took the sword and started just fucking slaughtering as many Pokemon with it as he could see. So not only did the one dude decide to like sexually assault the Pokemon repeatedly that he saw on the beach, but then his son, who was lonely, I guess, starts like cutting their fucking faces off with swords like he's Jeff Dahmer or like, you know, Gacy or something. I don't know, man. It's just some insane, weird type of shit going on at Game Freak in the lore department. That's all I could say. So not only are people like, I guess, like sexually assaulting the Pokemon whenever they apparently see the fucking chance to and crossbreeding with them, but apparently a lot of these people are just fucking straight up serial killer psychopaths that are like, fuck it, man, I'm just gonna kill Pokemon for the fuck of it, right? I don't know. I really don't understand, like, why this was all put in the lore. I don't really get why it really needed to go this far. I mean, once again, you know, I get it, because a lot of people are comparing it. They're like, oh, this sounds like fucking some sort of Greek mythology or something, right? This is just all this wild, off-the-wall shit, you know, you would expect to see in, like, old literature or something. But nah, this is fucking Pokemon, man. This was written in, like, the last 25 years. So I'm just wondering, like, what came to people's mind to be like, you know what? All right, we have this good thing going with Pokemon. We got the kids all excited about playing, you know, their favorite starter. Now let's introduce the rape fetish, you know, writings in the lore. It's like, what the fuck is going on here, man? Now, obviously, I don't think this is like stuff that was ever really meant to see the public eye, if that makes sense. I mean, you gotta remember, all of this shit was obtained in this massive data leak that happened from Game Freak. So it isn't like they were putting this stuff in like a Pokemon book or something and like selling it or like putting it in the games. This is just like internal documents that have been laying on a hard drive somewhere at Game Freak for, I don't know how long they've been around. I don't know when they were written, but this shit's just been here. You know what I mean? And this is like, from what I understand, the canon lore of Pokemon is like a lot of these fucking Pokemon to human relationships were apparently started by some absolute degenerates. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. When I saw this, I was like, I kind of want to talk about this because, you know, like I said, we've all been playing fucking Pokemon all this time. We've all been enjoying the franchise, you know, just doing our thing. And then, well, here it is. So you definitely don't deal with this on a daily basis. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about the Pokemon leaks and signing out. And that's a wrap on this video, but big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs. For $10 a month, you get access to loads of exclusive videos and archived live streams, my members only Minecraft server where you can possibly appear in gameplay, early access to all new uploads, an invitation to the private Discord, and much more.